Hey beauties, happy Sunday, welcome back to the Luxurious Equestrian Café. I hope you're having a wonderful day. This video has been in the making since 2024, literally. I have been wanting to chat with you about this topic for the longest time. This is my Cartier Santos watch review. When I started planning this video, I was gonna talk about one watch. Now we have three to talk about. The Cartier fandom for me is real. I am a Cartier and Hermes girly through and through. I am going to pronounce it Cartier just for the sake of this video. I am Swedish. I'm trying to speak English. Cartier, or however you pronounce it. Like, if I'm gonna say that every time, like, I'm gonna sound like a moron. So we have to pick our battles in this world, and Cartier, pronouncing the name correctly, is not one of them. What are you sipping today in the Luxurious Equestrian Café? I am sipping a little iced oat milk latte. So I have three Cartier Santos watches. That might sound a little bit excessive, but the Santos watches, they've literally existed since 1911 or 1904, Cartier likes to say. But essentially, the Cartier Santos comes in a bunch of different models. So even if you have a bunch of different Santos, like, you can have different watches, even if you stay within the Santos Cartier watch family. So to set the scene a little bit, I bought my first Cartier watch in 2023. This is my Cartier Santos Galbée. This is a steel watch with an automatic movement, and it's just the most gorgeous little piece ever. I adore this watch. This was something that I had on my wish list for the longest time, and buying this was literally like one of those, like, oh my god, I have ascended moments. Then I have two Octagon Cartier Santos watches. One in 18 karat gold with diamonds on it. This is one of my pinnacle pieces in my collection. This is literally the most gorgeous watch, and I just love it so much. This one I bought last year, and then we have the last one that is my most recent acquisition, and it is a two-toned Cartier Octagon watch. Right, but first I thought we should just do a little story time, because like I said, the Cartier Santos watch has existed since 1904. Right, it's 2026 now. This has existed for such a long time. And this is also what I adore about Cartier watches. They have a history, they have heritage. Obviously, Cartier as a brand has gorgeous heritage and history too. And honestly, like, this is just one of my favorite brands. I adore the gorgeous Bordeaux color that is associated with this brand. I have a few handbags, right, from Cartier too. I think you can see one of them. Yes, you can definitely see one of them here in the back. I adore Cartier scarves. This scarf that I'm wearing currently is a Cartier silk scarf that is just gorgeous, and they have that jewelry motif. I actually don't have any Cartier jewelry. I have a little Cartier collection, so I will link that. Right, the Cartier Santos came to be when Louis Cartier was speaking with his aviator friend Alberto Santos Dumont. Basically, Alberto Santos Dumont was telling Louis Cartier that he had this pocket watch, which was common at the time, right, in the early 20th century. This watch obviously kept the time perfectly fine when he was like on the ground and stuff, but as he was flying the plane, right, it was a little bit cumbersome and a little bit like not safe taking out that pocket watch and looking at the time. And what he was saying to Louis Cartier, obviously I was not in the room, right, but from what I can read on the internet, he was basically saying that it would be great if I could sit there and drive my plane, fly my plane. I am clearly not an aviation girly. If I could sit there and fly my plane and just look at my watch, right, at a wristwatch and see the time, that would be fabulous. Right, 7 years later, in 1911, the Cartier Santos was released. At that time, basically the closest watch to the watch that was released that we have currently is the Cartier Santos Dumont. That is not a watch I have personally, but it's a very similar watch to the Cartier Santos Galbée. It's basically Galbée, who knows? Like, the similarities between the Santos Dumont and the Santos Galbée is that both of them are square shaped, both of them have the rounded edges, and they have the visible screws around the watch. And the design of the Cartier Santos was quite different versus the other watches that were common in the early 20th century. The other watches were usually round. This one is obviously square. It feels very industrial. It was focused on aviation, right? So it was more kind of an architectural piece versus the normal standard round watch that was normal at that time. Initially, the watch was released as a flat wristwatch with a leather strap, right, with a square case. So the square case is obviously still present on the Galbée model, also on the like Santos 100 or the Santos Dumont. And as it was released in 1911, it became an immediate success. Basically, this was the first modern men's wristwatch and also the first like purpose-built pilot watch, right? So it was a complete icon for the time and something very different, and people were loving it. And obviously, that was in 1911, right? And we're still loving it in 2026, or at least I am. I'm speaking for me, not for you. But if you're watching this video, I'm assuming you're also still loving it all of these years later. And the Galbée was basically an updated model, right? It was updated to be a little bit more fit for modern life. I guess it was made to be a little bit more ergonomic and fit more comfortably on the wrist. And the Santos Galbée was produced between 1978 and 2005. My specific watch, I learned when I handed it in for a service that it is from 2005. So this must have been one of the last watches that was produced in the Galbée model. When I bought it, pre-loved on the secondhand market, I did not know what year it was from. And basically I had it serviced in December of 2025, right? And I got it back now in February. I'm gonna talk a little bit about the service and what it cost and how long it took and stuff like this. Basically, Cartier says that you should service your watch every 5 years if you have an automatic movement. This one has been serviced a total of 1 time, right? So when I took it in, they were like, it's been 20 years. You should have been here every 5. And I'm like, well, we're here now, right? Before we go into details on the Cartier Santos Galbée, I also want to introduce the Cartier Santos Octagon watch. This watch was produced around the 80s and 90s, so 1980, 1990, and it's no longer produced to this day. But when it was released as a more experimental design, right, with its bold geometric shape, right, of the octagon. This was also something that was quite different at the time, and to me this design feels a lot more, you know, feminine and dainty and kind of like the more girly version of the square watch. Now they came in a few different models. They came in a steel, they came in a solid gold, obviously, as the one I'm holding up now, and they also came in a two-toned. I'm gonna show you the two-tone later because I have recently acquired that one. But this one was one of those pieces that to me feels so timeless, classic and chic, even though they don't produce it today, because this is just an iconic watch model. This specific look to the watch face, I feel like you don't really see a lot. And also obviously this one with the diamonds around it, I feel like this is just such a gorgeous piece. And this one is from 1979, so this must have been one of the first pieces that were produced in the Santos Octagon watch model. So this is just such a timepiece, right? Both a timepiece in terms of a piece that is keeping your time, but also like a piece of history, right? Can you imagine the person who bought that in 1979? That must have been an iconic person. And I actually bought that watch from the person who bought it in 1979, or actually her daughter, if we were gonna be super specific, but gorgeous piece nonetheless. Now, this watch is also of the Octagon model, right, but in the two-toned. So this one you will see a little bit more frequently on the pre-loved market, along with the full steel model, right? So this one is a steel base with details in 18 karat gold. And this one I think is absolutely stunning. You see that on the bracelet of the watch, you have that steel base and then the gold screws. I think this is such an eye-catching piece, right? Which is why I was on the lookout for a two-toned watch from Cartier, because I think this is just a stunner and a beaut, right? I'm so obsessed with this. Like I said, these are not produced anymore, so if you're into these these types of watches, you have to buy them on the pre-loved market. Now, if you're gonna buy a Cartier watch or an expensive watch, like an expensive timepiece on the pre-loved market, I would say please buy it from a reputable reseller or a place where you can authenticate it. If you cannot authenticate it, buy an authentication somewhere else from someone you trust, right? Because these are generally expensive pieces and you want it to be all in the shape and order that it should be, right? Because there are a few things that can go wrong with a watch, right? If someone has changed out the things inside the watch, which to me, I mean, without a trained eye, I would not understand. Like if I opened up this watch, I would not understand what's going on, right? I'm not a technical watch person. When you buy these things, make sure that you buy it safely. This is not a how you buy things on the pre-loved market video, but I just wanted to give that little disclaimer. Please buy from reputable resellers or from reputable pre-loved websites and make sure that you're getting the thing that you're actually thinking that you're buying. So stay safe out there is basically my disclaimer. This is my daily driver watch that I wear all the time, which is why I think we must talk about it first. It's also the first Cartier watch I bought right in 2023. So I've had it for 3 years. Obviously, it was produced in 2000. I hate this pen. Why do I hold it up? This is champagne problems. My Mont Blanc pen has like, it's out of ink, right? So I cannot write with it. And that is my favorite pen. I adore my Mont Blanc pen. That is a like daily luxury that I have gotten used to and I love it so much. Like a hotel pen like this does not give me the same heft and the same vibes, right? But that is not what this video is about. This Cartier Santos Galbée. So in 2023, I bought this on Vestiaire Collective for around 20,000 Swedish crowns, which is equal to like $2,000. That is a great price for this type of watch. I had been stalking the pre-loved market for this type of watch for the longest time, right? Because I was like, well, I have my dad's Omega watch from the 70s, right? This used to be my daily driver watch. This is an Omega watch from the 70s in the dynamic model with an automatic movement. Obviously, it's this all gray watch with that orange pointer. It has a steel band and it's just a timeless classic watch. But I felt like this was a little bit more masculine than what I wanted to wear on a daily basis. Just if we compare them for size, obviously the Cartier Santos Galbée is a lot smaller versus the Omega dynamic watch. I think both of them are gorgeous. I wear my dad's Omega watch from time to time. I would say now that I had this one on service for a few months, then I was wearing this one a lot, right? Because I just adore a steel watch as my daily driver watch. I just find a steel watch such an effortless yet elevated look. And I adore like a watch with a steel or obviously gold or something like this band, because that to me feels like such a forever piece. Obviously a leather strap is also super classic, timeless and chic, but the thing with those is that you will have to switch them out. A steel wristband, you will never have to switch out. It's literally a forever piece. And this honestly is my perfect daily driver watch. Maybe I should just show you, because initially when I got this, I was a little bit confused on how to open it because this one does not have a clasp on the back, right? It just looks like a complete bracelet. I mean, you have no visible kind of clasp where you can open this watch. But what you have, if I can show that to you, like you have the folding clasps underneath your wrist. Yes, there you see them. So basically you just weasel your finger in there, like basically underneath this little wing or whatever it's called. Like, I don't know the terminology of watches. And then you just open it up like so. I feel like it's giving very streamlined and it's a very like, you know, it's a very elegant piece in my opinion, even though like the design of it looks a little bit more masculine versus the octagonal that's a little bit more feminine in my opinion. But to me this watch is so comfortable to wear. Yes, you have some weight to it, right? Because it is a complete steel watch. Obviously the automatic movement makes it so that you have to have a little bit of a thicker kind of middle to the watch, right? Where you have to fit like the movement in it and stuff. But honestly, I like it that way. I like my watches to have a little bit of a weight to them so that they feel substantial and hefty and like, you know, add some substantial watch vibes to your arm, right? I don't like a watch that you barely feel. To me, that doesn't give the same luxurious feeling for some reason. I am not sure why. Maybe I need to discuss this in therapy, but nonetheless, I adore this watch, and this is my daily driver. I have recently kind of understood that you should make sure that your watches, like the bracelet, the size of the bracelet fits your arm quite snug and quite well. I like my watch to be able to move around a little bit, but I have had my watch a little bit bigger before. And why you should not have it a little bit bigger is because when you have a bracelet like this in a metal, right, a gold or a steel or something like this, like the movement of the little links, it can cause like wear and tear on the links. So from what I've understood from Cartier is that it's better to have the watch fit you a little bit tighter versus more oversized, if that makes sense, if you want to keep the watch bracelet in as good of a condition as possible. With this watch, I have basically a bunch of things. I have some extra links for this one in this little cute bag. And basically, I have 5 extra links right here. I recently had one little link taken out, and I did that at the Cartier store because when you take little links out like this, wait, let me put 2 of them back. You have these little teeny tiny screws that you would have to navigate and stuff, and I do not have the coordination for this, nor the tools needed to remove a little link. So when I need to do that, I go to Cartier and I ask them to do that, and they do that for free. So that is very kind of them, and when you go there, you usually get like a little pouch like this to put your little link in, so that's also very, very cute. Last time I was there and did that, I got a little receipt, and the receipt obviously explains to me that it was 0 crowns, this service. But the beautiful thing is that you get a little Cartier documentation, so I would never complain about that. Obviously, I keep all documentation that I get with my pieces. So I have the certificate of verification from when I bought this watch from Vestiaire Collective, which basically just says that everything is in order and it's in as good condition as the seller said it would be and stuff like this. I also have the documentation from the service, right, when I handed in this Cartier watch for service on December 22nd of 2025. Also, just quickly, I have the little Vestiaire Collective tag. I have, this watch came with like everything, which was so fun, right? Or at least for me as a nerdy person, this was great. I have basically the service book. So when I did the service now, I asked the Cartier team to basically fill in the service book of what was done with my watch. So this was picked up on January 31st of 2026 at the Stockholm Cartier boutique, and it was a complete service, refinishing, replacement of the dial, replacement of the handset, and it tells me that this invention is guaranteed until January 31st of 2028. So that's obviously stunning. Yeah, all of this is fine for you to see, and then you get a little stamp, right, that says it's the Cartier service. So I have the little service book in this gorgeous little thing, and along with the service book I also have something else, which I guess is the instruction, like the user manual of the watch. Yes, this is the user manual. So you have all the different watches and how you navigate them basically. And when I was at Cartier with my service book, like the Cartier team was like, oh my god, we've never seen a service book. This is like a thing that people don't do anymore. But I'm like, I would adore if you guys could fill in the service book, and they were like, of course, ma'am. But I thought, let's go in a little bit more into like what the service cost. Like I already said, I handed it in on the 22nd of December and I picked it up on the 31st of January. I think the watch was actually done on the 16th, but I did not have the capacity to go pick it up earlier. The service that was made was basically a full service, which is what Cartier recommends you to do every 5 years. Now, these prices are in Swedish crowns because I was at the Swedish boutique. I'm Swedish, I live in Sweden, so my prices are in Swedish crowns. If you want to convert that to your currency, feel free to do so, but I will not. Basically, the complete service cost me 6,860 Swedish crowns. I would assume that that would equate to like $600 or something like this, $700, just to give you an idea. I'm not sure if the Cartier service costs the same in different regions. I've also heard from a friend who used to live in Geneva that sometimes the Geneva Cartier boutique offered like free service. Like they did like some like service runs and they were like, hey, you bought a Cartier watch, would you like to service it for free? I've never heard about this in the Nordic boutiques, right? I've been to the Stockholm and the Denmark boutique, or Copenhagen, I guess we should say. And there I've never heard of this happening, right? But I'm not sure if Geneva is just a different story or if this happens in your region. But if it does, good for you, because then you can get it for free. And then basically when they do the service, they also kind of polish the watch, and that they do for free. And then I basically had a little bit of oxidation on the dial of my watch. This was something that was kind of the catalyst for me handing this watch in. The dial of the watch had started to get a little bit, you know, it looked a little bit rusty, I guess we can say, in one of the corners. And I assume that was because some water had come into this watch. I've heard that that is quite normal for vintage Cartier watches, for the newer watches. I think they've upped the game in terms of the water resistance of the watches. But that's quite a common thing to happen in these watches, and that had happened in mine, which was why I was like, oh, it's starting to look a little bit sad. I need to hand it in. So you don't have to replace the dial, obviously, when you service the watch, because if your dial looks perfectly fine, then don't change it, right? But I just felt like it was time to change it out. They said that like for the functionality of the watch, you can keep it as is, but I would prefer, oh my god, bubble, but I would prefer to just change the dial, and it completely refreshed and like revived the look of my watch. So I'm very happy that I did that, and now the dial, like the watch face, looks a lot more bright and just like it gives a more fresh and new look to the watch. That cost me 3,490 Swedish crowns. And when they change the dial, they also have to change the handset, right? The little pointers of the watch, which they do for free when they change the dial. So all in all, I paid 10,350 Swedish crowns for the service. So like $1,000 approximately. Like I said, I'm not sure how representative that is of a service in your region, but for my service, that was what I paid now in 2026. And to be completely honest, I think that service was so worth it. Now this 21-year-old watch looks completely new. It looks like I literally went to Cartier and bought a new watch, but it's 21 years old. Like when you see this watch, can you imagine that this watch is 21 years old? This is also why I think, and also look at that beautiful sapphire. And this is also why I think it's so worth it to buy high quality things from a store where you can service them, right? Where you have that after sale service, I mean, similar to like Hermes with their spa, Cartier with their servicing of their pieces, right? You can polish the jewelry, you can service the watch, you can go there and they will help you take care of your things so that they will stand the test of time and last forever. This is why Cartier is one of my favorite brands. Similar with Hermes, that's why Hermes is one of my favorite brands, that you have that service, and whatever you have bought, they will help you fix it and they will help you prolong the lifespan to make it last literally forever. So I'm so happy with that. When I was there, like the team is so kind. Like every time I go to Cartier, I feel like a little princess, literally. Like they welcome you. They're like, do you want something to drink? Like a little water or a coffee, you sit down or you go around browsing in the store. I was gifted like perfume samples every time I was there. Like I have so many perfume samples and their perfumes are gorgeous. Now I'm like low-key wanting Cartier perfumes. These are not all the Cartier perfume samples I got. Granted, I was there with my mother, so she also got some samples, but she is an Hermes de jour perfume girly, so she only wears that, so I got all of her samples too. So now I literally have Cartier perfume samples for a lifetime. And just look at that little cute Cartier bow. Like I'm so obsessed. Right, so this is my daily driver Cartier watch. All of this to say, I adore my Cartier Santos Galbée. If you can find something like this on the pre-loved market that is in good condition or at a lower price, in a condition that you feel like you can service it and it will stand the test of time well in your collection, then please do so. Like these are forever pieces. You buy them once, or 3 times. Granted, they're a little bit expensive, but I would rather buy an expensive thing and have it forever forever and not buy a bunch of cheap things that I will have to replace frequently. Granted, that's not always how quality and price works, but in the case of Cartier, I would say that is the case. Now maybe we move gradually towards gold, right? Maybe we talk about the Cartier Octagonal in the two-toned model. This is my most recent acquisition, and this I also bought on Vestiaire Collective. This is a watch that I've been stalking for the longest time. I really wanted a two-toned watch because obviously I have my perfect steel watch, I have my perfect gold watch, and I wanted the perfect mix of the two, as you do, right, when you start collecting things. You make up things in your mind and then obviously you just must acquire something. Obviously, this one I do not know from what year it is. The lady who I bought it from did not know. She was in a little bit of a rush to sell it. She had put out a bunch of things from her collection right on her Vestiaire Collective profile, and all of which were at kind of a lower price point. Now, when I bought this, I was a little bit skeptical. I'm like, it's too good of a deal, right? Will she even ship it? Will it be authentic? I will definitely ship it via Vestiaire Collective's authenticity service. So I had it authenticated, right, by Vestiaire Collective. It was authenticated on the 20th of February in 2026, right? So this is a very recent purchase for me. And I have not gone to Cartier yet to remove a few links. So it's still too big for me. But I've been wearing it over the top of sweaters because I think that's quite a chic look and something that you cannot do when you have a watch that fits your wrist perfectly. And also, like, if you see girlies with like watches over the top of their leather gloves, just know that they have to have that watch in like way too big of a size to make that work. And I think, yes, it's a little bit of a chic look to have it like this, but I think I would rather wear my watch on my actual wrist versus over sweaters. So I will not keep it this way, even though for now I'm enjoying wearing it like this, just until I pop by Cartier next time. So this one I got for 9,500 Swedish crowns. That is like $1,000. This is $1,000? Like, are you kidding me? It's a gorgeous, timeless, beautiful watch in this two-toned model, right? With the steel and 18 karat gold, with that gorgeous little sapphire right there on the crown of the watch. I'm so happy with this. I'm so happy to have the little trifecta of the Cartier Santos watches, right? The steel one, the steel and gold one, and the gold one. So this just completed my little watch collection, I feel like. And when I got it, it was in even better condition than I thought, because I thought it would be a lot more scratched. I feel like when you see a watch in a photo up close, the scratches look gigantic, right? But obviously when you see a watch in real life, then you don't really look like, oh my god, so up close and try to identify the little scratches. Like, this, in my opinion, is in such a great condition and it's so beautiful, and I'm so happy that I found it for such a good deal. But like I said, I can't really update you on my like wear and tear of this watch because I've only had it for a few weeks, but so far so good. It's very comfortable to wear. It's obviously a small watch that's kind of inconspicuous, but I feel like the gold details, right, they elevate the steel watch to make it look that little bit more dressed up. Like, the thing I adore about it the most, you know, this feels like a door on a ship, you know, when you have a ship and you have a little, you know, window with a little, like, I don't know, steel thing around it. Like, this just makes me feel like nautical vibes, basically. But what I adore the most, like, did you see those little gold screws on the steel bracelet? Like, that to me is so chic and so classic and so timeless. And this watch just feels like a little grandma could have been wearing it like in the 80s. And I'm so obsessed. My parents, my beloved Seidler parentals, basically they call these watches the Q&Q watches. Apparently Q&Q was a brand that did like knockoff Cartier watches in the 80s, and they had a bunch of their friends wear these knockoff watches. So to them, all of my Cartier watches look like those cheap Q&Q knockoff watches watches that people wore in the 80s. I do not appreciate that they call these like cheap watches, because they are not cheap watches, clearly. But it's a little bit fun as well, because that gives me the indication that these were like a moment in the 80s, and I adore a good like period piece, a throwback to a different time. The 80s are so chic, the 70s, the 90s, like I adore all of that stuff, right? Which is why I adore vintage watches too. I just adore anything vintage, anything that makes me feel like it's a timeless, classy, classic piece that you can have forever, which I feel is definitely the case with these types of watches. Now to my final watch. Now we're stepping up from two-toned to 18 karat gold. This was a pinnacle piece for me. This is something, let me just hold it so that it does not drop to the floor. That would be horrendous. But this was a piece that I was on the lookout for the longest time. It obviously came in its original home, right? Its original box with that gorgeous Cartier Santos or Massif, right? Which means that it's solid gold. I have a few extra links for this watch. I have a bunch of documentation to this watch too. I was staring at this watch on the pre-loved market for the longest time before I bought it. Basically, it's a Cartier Santos Octagon from 1979. It has the little diamonds around it, right? And then it has the pointy little sapphire on the side, which is something that Cartier does on the more like special watches. So this, I think, is just so stunning, so gorgeous. I'm simply so obsessed with it. And the bracelet to the watch is also an 18 karat gold. It is also an automatic movement, if you can see that on the back. Initially, when I bought this, I was kind of like, will I wear it? Will this just lie at the bank, right? And I will never wear it? Or will I actually like bring it out and, you know, kind of rotate this in my daily or weekly or monthly rotation at least? I'm so happy to say that I've worn this a bunch. I'm so happy with it. Initially, I thought it would be a Christmas and birthday watch, you know? When you have those occasions where you dress up and it's like an event and stuff like this, I thought I would only wear it for those occasions, but I have worn this a lot and I'm so happy with it. And like I said, I got this with a lot of stuff. This is something that I like to be on the lookout for when I buy vintage pieces, right? Does it have all the beautiful things that comes with it? Obviously, this one has the box. It has been serviced, this watch too. So it came with this little pouch, right, that you get when you pick up a watch from the service. It also came with a bag, right? It came with a bunch of documentation, which I keep in this bag still to this day, just for organizational purposes. Wait, I also have the little booklet for one of my Cartier bags in here, like with the little authenticity card and stuff. Like here we have some cute little eye candy of vintage Cartier bags from the 90s. How cute. I put that in there. Apparently, for some reason, you just see, I adore little documentation like this. My watch came with this little kind of authenticity card. It was purchased in Dusseldorf in 1979, which it says there on the back. It obviously came with the Vestiaire Collective tag because I had it authenticated by Vestiaire Collective, but I also have the receipt from 1979. It's obviously a little receipt that was handwritten, because like what other receipts did they have in 1979? I also have the certificate from Vestiaire Collective. I bought this in September 2025, and you know, it's just all of the little things there from Vestiaire Collective. And I also have the receipt from the service that this had made, right? In what year was it serviced? Actually, in 2023. So in the same year as when I bought my first Cartier watch. What a fun coincidence. And it was serviced in Germany, so these prices are in euros. So it had a complete service done in 2023, and that was 495 euros. It obviously had the polishing done, which was free. They changed what I'm assuming was the dial of the watch. My German is not perfect. So I'm assuming this was the dial of the watch, which was 292 euros. They also changed the crown, right? So the little pointy sapphire there, which was 484 euros. And then they changed something else for 29 euros. I'm like, are those the little pointers or something? Did they pay to change the pointers? I do not know. So basically the complete service with the little fixings, right, of the watch cost the lady 1,300 euros. So it's obviously great that I got that service basically included in the price of my watch when I bought it. And it's so fun that I got all of the different documentation and stuff. I am a sucker for documentation. This is the nerdiest part of this video, probably just looking through documents. But if you get it, you get it. If you don't, you're not here anymore, so that's fine. But it's just so iconic to have like the original receipt from 1979 and just like all the little things, right, with this watch that most people wouldn't even keep, right? I mean, like the little guarantee card, because obviously like this many years later, right, the guarantee probably doesn't mean much, right? But keeping it all is just like, that just gives me life. I'm so happy to have all of these little things with this watch, which was also what made me choose to buy this exact watch, right? Because if I'm buying such an expensive piece, because an 18 karat gold watch is quite a pricey piece. So when I was browsing the pre-loved market, I was like, if I'm gonna buy one of them, I want to buy the one with the most documentation that is in the best condition. Even if I have to pay a little bit more, but honestly, like the price difference between one with a lot of documentation and one with little documentation, right, the price difference was not major. So I was just prioritizing to get as much documentation as possible, and also a watch with as tasteful of a service made to the watch. And honestly, like the service that was made to this watch was literally in line with what I would have done as well, right? So it's just such a stunning piece, and I'm so happy to have this in my collection. So obviously, looking at the date when this was purchased, this was one of the first Santos octagonal watches that was produced, which makes it feel so iconic. And obviously, my Cartier Santos Galbée was one of the last Cartier Santos Galbées that were produced, since it's from 2005, right? So it's just so fun having these little things and knowing the history of them. Obviously, the gold watch is quite heavy now that I hold them up together, right? So I think my favorite Cartier watch out of all of them is probably this one, because it's such a like pinnacle piece for me, and it felt like such a significant purchase for me when I got it. Obviously, my daily driver one is my steel one, because I just feel like this is elevated, timeless, classic, chic, classy. Like this is just such a beautiful everyday watch, and I get so many compliments on it. I'm so keen to see how I get along with the two-toned watch. I'm already wearing it, like I said, over sweaters, and I'm so excited to have it resized to fit me perfectly. Otherwise, if I'm gonna give you some words of wisdom on Cartier watches, if you love one, buy it. Like these pieces are timeless, classic, chic. If you buy it on the pre-loved market, you can still hand it into Cartier, have it serviced, make it look like new. If you want to buy a Cartier watch new from the store, go ahead. It's a beautiful piece. Cartier watches are timeless, classic, chic. I would not go back and not buy them. Like if I find something on the pre-loved market that I'm like, oh my god, that is so unique, that is so interesting, I love it so much, then I would buy it still, even if I have three. Now, to be completely honest, I'm not really browsing Cartier watches at the moment, because I feel like with my three that I have, I'm kind of set. Right? I'm not saying that you need 3 Cartier watches. I'm not saying that you need any Cartier watches. Obviously, these are frivolous purchases. They're fun, beautiful pieces that if you enjoy this kind of stuff, go for it. I don't think you would regret buying a Cartier watch. If you sit back, relax, you look back in 10 years, probably these. Or, I mean, we don't know. We don't know how the value of pre-loved goods or value of luxury goods in general, how it will develop over time. But if you look historically, right, these have gone up in value. I expect my own Amanda interpretation and guess and assumption is that these will continue to go up in price. I'm assuming that when I am like 50 years old and look back and say like, oh my god, 20 years ago I bought this little gold watch, like imagine what I paid for it then. Like my Birkins, for example, right? I mean, when I bought them 10 years ago, they cost me a lot less versus what they would cost if I bought them now, right? So that's just my headspace. I prefer to buy something beautiful, buy it once or 3 times, right? And then just keep it and wear it and have it in my collection for years. And that's clearly what I done with these. I'm so happy with them. I adore the history, the heritage. I'm such a fan of the Cartier Santos model. If I look at other watches from Cartier, I also adore the Cartier tank. I would love to own a Cartier tank. The Cartier Panthère is super popular, obviously, with the girlies online. I would say I prefer the Cartier Santos Octagonal or Galbée over the Panther, obviously. Case in point with me buying these versus the Panther. But I know a lot of people love them, and it's like a cold watch as well. People say that they're super comfortable to wear too. My preference is to buy an automatic movement, because an automatic movement is literally a forever piece. You service it from time to time. Obviously, this one, the first time in 20 years it's been serviced. But you service it from time to time. You don't need to change out batteries. It's something that is made to stand the test of time forever. But I know there are two separate camps. Some people love an automatic movement, some people love a quartz movement. Nothing wrong with either of them, but I am just a fan of an automatic movement in a watch, because that just makes me feel like it's a forever piece. A quartz watch is also a forever piece, but you know, once again, maybe I need to discuss this in therapy. But I just adore my Cartier watches. I think I could not say that enough in this video. I said it more than enough in this video, but I cannot put into words how happy I am with these watches, and also just the pile of just Bordeaux colored things that's laying right there. I'm just like, oh my god, I'm so obsessed, and I'm so happy that I was picky when I bought these and bought the watches with the little extra pieces with it and the little extra documentation and stuff, with the exception of the two-toned watch, because that was just such a good deal that I could not pass it up. And honestly, I have so many beautiful like little things with these other watches, so that I could just put that little watch in a little pouch like this, and then I'm happy, like I'm thrilled. These pieces are so gorgeous. If I was to buy only one, don't ask me that. I don't want to buy only one. If I could buy only two, I would only buy these two probably. So therefore, if I could buy only one, maybe I would buy the two-toned one, right? Because that's kind of a mix. It feels day-to-day, but it also feels dressy due to having, you know, those gold details, like the 18 karat gold details on the watch itself, right? So this feels like the one-stop shop if you only want to buy one. If you want to buy several, go ahead, be my guest, join the club, right? But we have been discussing the history, we've been discussing how I am enjoying my watches, we've been discussing costs of service in Sweden and in Germany, we've been looking at documentation, like we've gone on a complete Cartier journey, you and I. What is next on my Cartier journey? I don't know. I have beautiful Cartier vintage watches. I only have one Cartier scarf because my mom stole my other one. So maybe I'm gonna buy a Cartier scarf at some point. Maybe I will buy a piece of Cartier jewelry at some point. I adore the ring, like the Cartier Just Unclear ring that does a double tour with the diamonds on it. That I think is completely stunning. I adore everything with the little Panther, with the green eyes, just with all like super sparkly diamonds and stuff like oh my god, I'm so obsessed. But that is like a ridiculous price range. I also adore the vintage Cartier Tutti Frutti jewelry. Stunning, right? When they did basically a ruby, a sapphire, and an emerald in one piece. And also diamonds, right? So just stunning pieces and super over the top pieces as well. And those, like all of the different gemstones, I'm like, oh my god, so obsessed. If I was born way back when, and if I was uber rich, I would have bought those, but that is not the case. So guys, this was my Cartier video. I would like to ask you, do you have any Cartier pieces? Do you have any Cartier pieces on your wish list? If so, which ones? I hope you found this video helpful, or at least interesting. I hope you learned something new about Cartier or the Cartier Santos watches. If you're looking into buying a Cartier Santos watch, let's discuss all about it in the comments. Are you like more a gold girly or more of a steel girly, or like a two-toned watch girly? Like where are you at in your Cartier journey? I know a lot of you guys have bought the Cartier bags. I know some of you have bought Cartier watches. One of you, Jessica, you bought a gorgeous Cartier watch with a Bordeaux watch face with like a crocodile like wristband. Oh my god, that watch is so stunning. But all of you guys, let me know, what are you peeping at Cartier? Let's talk all things Cartier in the comments. I'm sending you all a little virtual hug to get you through the week. I will see you back here with my next video, and until then, stay safe, take care, and I will see you soon. Bye.